It's rum and Diet Pepsi. Well, anyway, so this is the Jaws drunk review, and I've seen Jaws like 1,000 times, but I finally got to see it at the big screen at Galaxy Theater in Atascadero, and I have thoughts on it. So, spoiler warning. I mean, it's been out for like, I don't know, since '75, so you've been warned. Anyway, just like Quinn himself, I'm about to drink to Jaws. Yeah, there's a clip inserted here, but I'm not going to insert it. I'm just going to go. Anyway, so basically, Jaws is directed by Steven Spielberg himself, one of my favorite directors of all time. He might be my number one, but then again, Driver Baby or Baby Driver, whatever it's called, Edgar Wright is creeping up. But Steven Spielberg directed Jaws, and watching Jaws on the big screen really, it really opened my eyes on the John Williams score. I gotta say, the John Williams score really adds to the film, but it doesn't make the film. What makes the film is the acting, is the characters, is a script writing, because we all know. All right, it ain't no secret here. Let's drink to it real quick. Ah, man, that's something. Anyway, we all know that the film production. This is like Steven Spielberg, one of his first films, or one of his big first films. A lot of things went wrong. The shark didn't work. The famous documentary with Richard Dreyfuss talking, Hooper talking about the behind the scenes thing where, somebody would yell out that, the shark is not working. The shark is not working. We had that. A lot of things have happened during the filming of Jaws. And you got to really, really stress that Steven Spielberg was almost fired from the film. If you don't know any trivia, Steven Spielberg was almost fired from the film. I believe they had like 3 or 4 sharks, mechanical sharks, but the beauty of the actual film is the shots. Steven Spielberg makes that movie. Steven Spielberg is able to do these camera angles, these shots, able to tell a story without having the shark really be involved in the film. That's where I fell in love with the film for the very first time when I was a kid. I remember watching it as a kid and remembering saying, like, I didn't want to go take a shower. I didn't want to go take a shower because I always thought the shark was going to come through the drain and get me and bite me, or even in the toilet. What can I say? But that's the beauty of Steven Spielberg's film, and this is why Jaws is one of the greatest films of all time. It's up there with Citizen Kane. It's up there with, recent movies like Mad Max Fury Road, or, anything you could think of. Jaws is right there because it is the definition of a horror movie. What I love about Jaws, though, is that they don't treat the shark like a man. It's a beast, right? The shark is something different. It's able to, watching the film, I love how you see the two kind of like little things that are hooked onto it, and it's kind of like chasing, the sheriff, Quinn, and Hooper throughout the whole film, at least the second half of it. But what I love about it is the fact that, yes, it's a different kind of great white. It's not doing the things that a great white should do. I mean, it's based off a true story back in like the 1920s, I believe. But they treat it like they treat it like they're dealing with an actual great white. Hooper he has all his tech. Quinn is an old school kind of fisherman. The sheriff is there along for the ride, who wants to make sure the shark is dead. Like, I love how they treat it like it's not another being. It's not another, like, another beast of its own. It's not like Godzilla or anything like that. It's a great white shark that they're treating it like, but yet it outmaneuvers them. It's smarter than them. But they don't never ever address that. They do say that sometimes. Quinn says, like, I've never had a shark do this to me before. But what I love about it is just the fact that they do Quinn does the same tricks that he does like any other, like catching the shark, a tiger shark or great white. So that's what I absolutely love about it. And of course, Hooper does. There's one particular scene where he goes underwater and he's in the cage. And I love the stock footage. If you know anything about the documentary, you know that in the film they incorporated the stock footage that they did of great whites actually really hitting those cages really hard, and you see that in the film. The beauty about the film is not the shark itself. If you know anything about Jaws, you should know that it's not about a shark really killing people. It's about greed, and that's the mayor. That's the mayor of Amityville. That's him really still having the beach open to the public. It's about greed. And I think that's what Steven Spielberg really conveys. And which is crazy because when I was watching the film, Steven Spielberg is kind of crazy when I watch Baby Driver, because Edgar Wright is known to really tell the plot and tell you what's going to happen in the film through little jokes here and there or just subtle things like there. Steven Spielberg does the same thing. There's a scene where the sheriff is flipping through a shark book, and you see a little bit of the underwater. You see the shark having a tank in his mouth. You see also somebody like showing the shark attacks on his body. Of course, we see Quinn gets eaten, the shark having that of a tank in his mouth, and then the sheriff blowing the shark up. So Steven Spielberg actually lays down the work of the demise of the shark and the events of the movie, which I absolutely did not see. I didn't see that the first time, seeing it as a kid, and then even later on, seeing it a couple times here and there, I really didn't really realize that. But Steven Spielberg actually slips through the cracks the actual outcome of this film. I think John Williams, of course, he adds the score into the film and he elevates the film a little bit more. I mean, the shark attacks, the atmosphere and all that. I mean, the score is absolutely beautiful. But if you take the score away, I really give credit to the acting and the direction. I think Steven Spielberg, the pressure he was in the studio, constantly telling them we're over days, like you're wasting money on this film. However, being a smash hit that it was, of course, we all know that. But not only that, I think the acting is really something to applaud. And of course, Steven Spielberg is somebody to applaud as well, because he's the one that got these actors to do what they wanted to do. And the actors are also the ones that really improvised and really did something for these characters. The story of Quinn, the actor who played Quinn, he is a well-known, he was a well-known actor, and him and Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss, actually had a feud together, and you see that in film, which is absolutely beautiful, because it's very realistic. A lot of these characters in this film, a lot of the people that are, one actress has her child being eaten, which I think is the iconic death. It's not Quinn's death. It's actually this little kid's death that's the most iconic. But I think that honestly, the actors and the casting is what makes this film. I think the script writing is what makes this film. It's not the music. Music adds to the film, but it does not make this film. So I did have a John Williams video previously that said that this makes the film, but honestly, Jaws itself, script writing and direction makes this film. There were scenes in this film where the shark, you would think it's mechanical, right? It's mechanical, but it feels natural. It feels very natural. There is nothing coming out of it that makes you go, oh my god, that's a fake shark. It's everything that happens to the shark. Even John Williams' score is very muted in a lot of these scenes, where it's very realistic with the sound effects, with the water, with the screams, and with a lot of the action that's going on in this film. That's what makes Jaws one of the greatest films of all time, because if you mute the John Williams score, it still holds together. I think this film is hands down one of the greatest films of all time. It's up there with a lot of Alfred Hitchcock's films like Birds, Citizen Kane. You can even say, Mr. You can say a lot of films that are up there of top films of all time. You have to put Jaws there because Jaws was a phenomenon and it resonated with so many people and it gave so many people nightmares. But not only that, it really influenced a lot of directors, a lot of vision, and I think Steven Spielberg is hands down one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. And I mean, this film was made in what, 75? 75 and 77 was Star Wars. A lot of homage and a lot of things should be praised about Jaws because a lot of filmmakers they look to Star Wars, but you need to look to Jaws because Jaws is really what kicked off the blockbuster kind of summer movies. And I just rewatching it on the big screen really makes you appreciate a lot of the acting, the direction, the the misfortunes of the set, yet still coming together and making a brilliant film. This is, of course, there are some things that you could question, but honestly, this film is a 10 out of 10. It's a legendary film, of course, as we all saw it, and it's just absolutely amazing, and it inspires you. It inspires you if you're a director or a writer or an actor to really look at this film and say, you know what, that's what it is. That's the biz right there. There's hardships, there's joys, and there's a project that when it all comes together, you create a masterpiece. And I gotta say, Steven Spielberg is still my number one because Steven Spielberg he created something that everybody could, any age gap, could actually really appreciate. And Jaws 75, and now we're in 2017, you can still appreciate it. And I absolutely thank you, Steven Spielberg, and I absolutely thank the people who were involved in Jaws. And Jaws is still one of the greatest, not only horror films of all time, but the greatest films of all time. I might even be drunk. This is another drunken review, but you know what? I still have my mindset where I say, Jaws is just something that to behold on the big screen. So if you have a chance to see this on the big screen in a movie theater, Regal, AMC, whatever, watch it. Watch it on the big screen because that's the movie magic I'm talking about. That's the inspiration I'm talking about. So, thank you guys for listening. I'm Dan the Man, Get Down Son. You can find more of my videos on YouTube. Like the video if you like it. Comment below. Love to hear you guys' thoughts on Jaws. We can go back and forth on Jaws and how great it is. Or if you don't even like it, I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on if you didn't necessarily like the film. But you can find more of my videos on YouTube. So, thank you guys. And Jaws, once again, proving to me why I love film and why I do what I do. And this is 10 out of 10, man. So thank you guys. I'm Dan the Man, your dad's son. I'm out of here. Bye, guys.